This song is called It's Time, and I wrote it in my foundations class as my final project to basically say thank you for the fact that these teachings really work. And so when I forget, I listen to my songs and I take my own advice, and then if that doesn't work, I call a practitioner. It's time to clear away the clutter in my mind, to know the truth that who I am is more than fine. My thoughts go by like clouds, it's time. It's true, love is living in and as and through, and I have all I need for what I'm here to do. I know without a doubt it's true. Right now, I don't need to know exactly how. The words have all been said, the seeds are in the ground. Let feelings come like waves, I see. Spirit has a home inside of me. I walk along the path of truth with certainty. Unlimited and free, I see. Leave the pain and suffering behind, to know that change is just a shift inside my mind. While living from the heart, it's time. Right now, I don't need to know exactly how. The words have all been said, the seeds are in the ground. Let feelings come like waves, I see. Spirit has a home inside of me. I walk along the path of truth with certainty. Unlimited and free, I see. The clutter, it's true that I have all I need right now. Unlimited and free, I see. Unlimited and free, I see. Unlimited and free.
Thank you, Lainey Lou. So we're exploring attitudes of gratitude in this month of November. And for me, it's a daily practice. And MJ Ryan's book is so sweet. She breaks it up into the gifts of attitude, the attitude, of gratitude, and then the practice for our deepening. And so first of all, I just want to speak a word of gratitude to be in the room with my friends, to have Lainey, and then I had Alva and Tracy, and to have Hope, and to see all the people that I love. Because when I come to this place, I stand in this awareness of such gratitude that God shows up in such magnificence. I drove this morning with gratitude, not just because of the practice, but it weaves its way through my entire system. So I had 10 hours of class this week in historical foundations. And when I went to bed last night, it was cold. And I have this wool blanket. They're red and gold and turquoise and yellow octagons that my Italian grandmother sewed for me and made for me. And I only met her once. My mom's from Italy. And every time I go underneath that blanket, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for a grandmother who only met me once but loved me and keeps me warm unto this day. I woke up in the morning, and when I make my coffee, I'm so excited. I am grateful, for organic Balinese coffee in my little espresso maker, and I pour, and it's this beautiful color. I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful. I begin my day, and I end my day in gratitude. Now, in between things happen. In between things happen with life. But I do my best to recognize that grace and that gratitude comes from within. It's a practice that came from a journey that I'll share later. But gratitude and saying thanks and being grateful and the giving and receiving is a beautiful, powerful spiritual practice. It's our fourth step in prayer. It's the very thing that when we say thank you, we know it is already done unto us. So I drove this morning. I got up at 4. My mind got up at 4. Then my body got up at 5. And I drove to come early to plug in my PowerPoint. And there's this beautiful charcoal cloud. It literally was just across the sky. Underneath it, it looked like somebody took whipped butter and just kind of spread it. And then there's little dots of tangerine. I was like, oh, and the moon above and the stars. I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. I'm so grateful. Then I put in Robin Hackett. I'm listening. I'm singing. I'm dancing. I'm being just in this absolute state of gratitude. Then I look in my rearview mirror as I get closer. I'm on 635, and all of a sudden the colors have changed. And it's pink with some of that marmalade. It's like somebody just, did like a little abstract painting. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. And then I wanted to take a picture, and I realized I'm driving. It'd be best and safer if I didn't. But I pause in the moments throughout the day in such gratitude. But what's interesting, the journey today, because I've been walking with this theme of gratitude, and not just because of the talk, just because of everything going on in my life, that I found myself at a certain point crying. I was weeping in gratitude. I was so overwhelmed, not just with the journey with ministerial school, but the people I love here. This 11-year process, and just to be here in the morning and grateful for those who show up. So when MJ Ryan talks about gratitude, she says gratitude opens our heart. We can't experience it in our head. She's like, leave the ego over here. It doesn't work that way. Gratitude is a heart-opening experience and expression. And when we do that, it's just this infinite expansion and this infinite awareness. And when we recognize it, it's the stance that we take in the moment that we see God. The way that God shows up in our blessings. God shows up as coffee. God shows up as friends. God shows up as the music. God shows up in these colors. God shows up in so many ways. But how often in our busyness of life, from that moment of going to bed and waking up, I'm so grateful. But how often in the in-between, the doingness, that we forget about the beingness. We get stuck on the list. We turn on the TV. We listen to the news. We read the paper. People are complaining. All right, I can raise my hand. Been there, done that, catch myself, or my friends will catch me. But in the moment that we recognize where we're at, we can move into that stance of gratitude. One of the practices that I adopted years ago was to be grateful for the roof over my head, the food that I eat, the clothes that I wear. And so I found the statistic that all of that and a place to sleep, then we are richer with all of that than 75% of the people in the world. If we have money in our pocket, we are in the top 8% of the world's wealthy. Money in our bank, money in our pocket. And then if we could read that, There are 3 billion people who cannot. So how often do we stop to give thanks for the roof over our head, for the car that we drive, for the seats that are here, for the people that are present with us? It's easy to move into complaint. I love this cartoon, complaint line, gratitude line. The guy in the gratitude line's reading a book. He's just waiting for somebody to come in. And what I've noticed in my own experience, when I'm stressed, when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm not speaking in the moment, when I'm getting lost with my ego, when I'm not being conscious and present to the good, I'm in that line, honey. I'm complaining. And trust me, my friends have permission to call me on it. There was a time in my life, it was incessant. I'm like, oh my God, what is that? It felt like this whirlwind of energy. And the reminder was, I have to shapeshift and move to this other line because it's just opposite ends of the spectrum. Gratitude. Because if you listen to the news, you watch the politicians, you're around coworkers, there's this incessant, almost addictive nature of complaining. And trust me, I've been there. It's a swirl. And it's that practice of then just becoming fully present in the moment. And I think that's why the divine gives us sunsets and sunrises and babies and their laughter and then the roses that we see and the daffodils. I think the divine puts these in our lives so that we can stop in the moment and be present. The coworker who comes up and says, thank you. Thank you for for working with me yesterday the way that you did. How often do we practice the gratitude? How often do we move into that place? What kind of situations take us to the opportunity for gratitude or complaining? So I want to share this story. Hope texted me a couple of weeks ago, my dear Hope, and she's like, you want to go to the Maria Cannon Zen Center to meditate? And I paused because I had a long list of things to do. I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. And I typically don't do Zen meditation because of, I like to meditate in a chair. Because of my nerve on my left leg, my leg always falls asleep. And that's not a hidden belief, that's just the condition, okay? It's what I experienced. But we went, and it's this beautiful center in East Dallas. And they let us know that's going to be sitting for 25 minutes, then we do a slow walk and then a fast walk 3 times. Okay, no problem. They do the clacker in between. So we sit, and I'm facing the wall, and I notice the plugs. I'm paying attention to the plugs, and I'm looking at the wall, and there's like little faces, and I'm like, okay, V, you're supposed to be present, And I'm feeling my leg, and I'm like, it's going to be okay. And then the clacker goes after 25 minutes, and we walk slowly, and then we walk quickly, and then we sit. I thought, well, I'm going to sit in a different position, because it was asleep, but I got up. It was okay. So I shifted in a different position, which was not a very good choice, because my leg immediately fell asleep into a deep sleep. So when it was time, here goes the clack, time to walk, I was trying to get up, and I felt this sting, and my foot was twisted. And my leg, it was like a phantom leg. It was completely dead. It wasn't there. And I tried standing up, and I couldn't move, and they're all sitting there just waiting for me, because we got to do the walk. And then I'm wiggling, I look at Hope, and she has this beautiful, compassionate gaze, like, just be present. And what I did say earlier is that in that second meditation, this thought came up that said, you're going to fall. And then, of course, I did my whole new thought, no, God's strength is my strength, all is well, I did my thing, and then I got back to my meditation. So fast forward to that, I can't get up. They're waiting. My mind could go into this whole fear, humiliation, embarrassment. And I'm trying to get up, and all of a sudden, I'm looking at Hope, and all of a sudden, I get up, and I fall. And Hope just had this most compassionate look when I said, help me. And she just reached out with her hand and lifted me. And the gratitude that overwhelmed me in that moment was so powerful. No, girl, get up. People are waiting. She just reached out. And so I grabbed her hand, and I stood up, and I leaned in. I'm like, I'm going to go out, because you go around, and then there's a door. I go, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go sit outside and wait. And not because I was embarrassed, because it hurt. I was afraid I was going to do it again. But that level of compassion, her giving unconditionally, my ability to receive it, and the gratitude. And sure enough, I got up after 2 or 3 steps, wide awake, and then we walked, and then sat again, and then we had the Dharma talk. But that was profound for me. I will never look at Hope differently, because she was there to give, and then for me to receive in such gratitude. I could have gone into, I'm embarrassed, I'm humiliated, I'll never do this again. I could have left the door, which I thought about, but no, I decided to stay and be present. And I was, that first minute of sitting down, it did kind of replay like an NFL game, boom, boom, other angle, boom. But I allowed myself to get into, and the other thing that Hope did is when we got to the meditation cushions, hers was higher, and she switched them. And so I was able to sit in a different position. My leg was fine, finished it. The beautiful thing is that no one said anything at the end. Everybody was fully present in the moment. They didn't say, girl, you okay? Because that was a big fall. How you feeling? No. It was just this loving presence, and the gratitude that overwhelmed me for that experience was powerful. I could have gone into fear, I could have gone into complaining, but that shift into gratitude to receive the gift and then to be the receiver and then to give the gratitude back was expansive for me. So how often in our lives do we fall into complaint instead of gratitude? So the thing with gratitude, what moves us into this place of positive nature, it actually has health benefits for those who like science. So the attitude of gratitude is not just about giving thanks, and these aren't empty thanks. These aren't, hey, thank you, that's great. No, it's a sincere, deep appreciation in the moment for all that we receive. But neuroscience has studied the effects of gratitude. It actually promotes the physical health and well-being. It supports our immune system. It shapeshifts our thoughts and our attitudes. They even said spouses reported that their spouses had higher subjective well-being. This is not just a positive emotion, a positive way, a new thought, la-li-la. No. There's actual science for positive psychology and gratitude. Because sometimes we're accused of that, of being Pollyannish. What MJ Ryan is sharing is that in this state of gratitude, not only are you participating in the circulation of energy, but you're also participating in the expansion and growth and transformation of your own self. You physiologically, emotionally, psychologically benefit from it, and Dr. Robert Emmons is one of the pioneers of this positive psychology. So when someone says you're just radiating just a little too much happiness, just tell them you're just sharing the love, sharing the light. It has amazing benefits. Now, MJ Ryan talks about letting gratitude flow naturally. So we have the gifts that are present in the moment. And then you have the attitude of gratitude. And the attitude is just to allow yourself to be present to life's miracles. We live in a universe that's friendly. Let it flow. People who know and love me know how much I love a good cappuccino. That brings me immense gratitude. But we don't force it. It's a way that it can flow in, as, and through us. The circumstances that our life that arises, when we can see with that absolute knowingness that, wow, look how God is showing up. In the blessings, in the gifts. I truly believe that nature is the way that God smiles at us, to remind us to pause and to be grateful. And for me, it's such a sacred state. I am known to screech at sunsets and the moon. I am known to stop the car and jump out and just like, oh my God, and take the pictures. But do we allow ourselves in our busyness to pause? I bring my nieces and nephews outside every day. I don't care how cold it is. We're going outside just for a minute. But in the spring and the summer, so they're out there in the adoration of the way that God shows up. When we look at life, this is the infinite, the creativity of the one that is bestowing upon us these blessings. So as we move through our humanity, because we're spirit in this human realm, that we have these gifts to remind us, to be our touchstones of truth, to bring us to the present moment. So I'd like to share this video of some of the photographs that I do with a song from a dear friend of mine.
Hallelujah.
So Brother David Steindl-Rast, his whole practice is gratefulness, gratefulness.org. He says gratefulness is an ever-increasing spiral. As I express my gratitude, I become more deeply aware of it, and the greater my awareness, the greater my need to express it. What happens here is a spiraling ascent, a process of growth in ever-expanding circles around a steady center. A steady center. M.J. Ryan talks about connecting to spirit, the practice of wonderment. And as we take that moment to stop and just be engaged in a sunset, she says this is how we melt into the oneness. That divine provides us this opportunity just to stand there and just absolutely be present with our heart wide open. And when we do that, we connect with God. And so when I say, oh my God, what I'm also doing is offering my gratitude. When we can pause into the moment and offer our gratitude for the beauty that is present, life is precious. But what happens to us when it's prickly? Because life isn't always so easy. Moments come up, people come into our life. In the Joyous Living Journal, it says, now, being grateful for your good is easy. Being grateful for the good you know Spirit is showering you with is also pretty easy to learn. And it's also important to be grateful for those who irritate you, situations that trigger you, and things that you wish were different. Each one is teaching you something. Being grateful for the situation invites you to be grateful for what you're becoming aware of, which leads you to be grateful for the new truth you actually know. Living in gratitude for the new truth is what then causes that to grow instead of more of what triggered you. So really, I'm not the Buddha. I'm not a saint. In those moments that we're triggered, been there, done that. I mean, I'm not saying stand there saying, thank you for projecting on me. Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you for the anger. I'm so grateful. You know, we're not saying that. But what we're saying is that in those moments when things are difficult, when problems are arising, when situations are painful, to claim that good comes from this. That there's a power for good in the universe and that it's ours to use, but good comes from this. That to be in a state of gratitude, not for the situation or what's occurring, but to know that something's evolving, something's growing, something's seeking to express itself. Now, I tell the story of one of my greatest teachers, besides my 7 nieces and nephews, who I call my pint-sized guru, one of the greatest teachers, and I've shared this many times, but I will continue to share it, because the profound realization of a long-term illness brings you to the present moment and the good that is God. So I went through a journey of 10 years, 10 years with chronic fatigue immune dysfunction syndrome, working in the film industry to being on my knees, a list this long of pain. Could not have known 20 years ago that I would be standing here on the week before Thanksgiving, speaking to a group of people that I love. I did not even imagine my 7 nieces and nephews who would open my heart beyond what I could just adore. I didn't feel that in that moment. But what M.J. Ryan's also saying, and what they're saying in the Joyous Living Journal, in the moment, when situations are challenging, to go to the center of your heart, to the beingness of who you are, to call forth gratitude. Good must come from this. And for me, the practice became why I take pictures of everything, because every simple thing was precious. Every simple thing was precious. To be able to drive my car, because there was times I couldn't because I was so sick, was precious. To go hang out with my friends was precious. To be able, to have a cheese Danish, which I love, was precious. All I had in that moment was gratitude. I had nothing else in the sense that I couldn't work. I was in the film industry. I went from being a casting director to being sick. I was 30, sitting in a waiting room with 90-year-old people with rheumatoid arthritis. I'm like, what is going on, God? But it shifted. Slowly, it shifted. Oh, today I feel good. I'm grateful. Oh, my friend Judy came over for coffee. I'm grateful. I eventually moved home, and my nieces and nephews became the greatest teachers of being present to what is. Little Anthony, when he was 3, stood out there and the wind was blowing and he screeched in utter delight. But my favorite is Isabella when she was 3 and I was crying and I was in pain. And I know I've shared this before, but I love this story because I can see it and I can feel it. But I have like coins all over the floor. I'm having the biggest pity party. I don't feel good. I don't know when I'm going to feel good. And I'm counting my change and I was crying. And Isabella walks in the door, and I'll never forget that she walks in and she goes, oh, you're rich. And it was like this tidal wave of, whoa, of love. And it did. It's like Cher with Nicolas Cage and Moonstruck slapping him. She like snap out of it. It snapped me out of the pity party. It brought me fully present to like, yes, in this now, I'm rich. I'm rich. And that's when I started the practice. That was 15 years ago because she's 18 or 17, almost 18. That's when I started the practice of thank you for the roof over my head, the food that I eat, the clothes that I wear. When we can embody the practice and understand that we are fully supported no matter what the situation and circumstance, if we can call forth gratitude. When we give and we receive, we participate in this universal dance, but no matter what, can we call forth gratitude? When the angry person who's had an experience is in your face, can we call forth gratitude? Can we see beyond that and to know that God is present? In the situations that are prickly, can we center ourselves in gratitude? Can we know that God is present? Maybe it's not being expressed that way, but you can be the love. You can be the joy. You can be the place of listening. You can be the harmony. You can be the peace. It's a reciprocal dance. So here's another favorite teacher of mine, Alice Hurst Sommer. I fell in love the minute I saw her. She's 109 years old, Holocaust survivor. And her mantra is, she looks for the beauty, and she says, I look where it is good. And I just want to share her.
What is the secret of you feeling so good at your age? What is the secret? What can you tell people?
Optimism and looking for the good. Life is beautiful. To be happy, to admire, to thank. Thankful that we are living. Wherever you look is beauty.
And you see beauty everywhere. You see beauty everywhere. You
Yeah.
see the beauty everywhere.
Everywhere. I know about the bad thing, but I look
To the good things.
Look for the beauty in life. I had my nieces and nephews watch Alice. To have a deeper appreciation for what we do have, not focus on what we don't have. For the gratitude of life, she's like, I've seen the bad, but I look for beauty. So the invitation is, as soon as it comes up, I invite you to stand up. We have, most of us, have 10 fingers. And so I want you, it's a practice that I do when I'm walking sometimes that I count, I'm grateful, I'm grateful, I'm grateful. So we're going to say together, I'm grateful, but then you're going to say what you're grateful for. I'm just going to count the number. Because what we do is when we recognize what we're grateful for, it raises the vibration, it raises the frequency, it becomes this portal of absolute love and grace. So I'm going to say 1, and together we're going to say, I'm grateful, and then you name something, all right? So 1, I'm grateful for ministerial school. 2, I'm grateful. 3, I'm grateful. 4, I'm grateful. 5, I'm grateful. Keep going. 6, I'm grateful. 7, I'm grateful. Hear that. 8, I'm grateful. 9, I'm grateful. 10, I'm grateful. Now turn to somebody next to you and tell them what you're grateful for. Say, I'm grateful. Share. I'm grateful. Make it quick. I'm grateful. Come on, don't be shy. I'm grateful. Turn to somebody else. I'm grateful. Tell them what you're grateful for. I'm grateful. Be in that gratitude. Feel that energy. I'm grateful. One more time. Tell somebody else, I'm grateful. Now let's say this together. I'm grateful for my good. I'm grateful for my good. I'm grateful for my life. I look for the beauty. I find the good. I am grateful for God. I am grateful for my brilliance. And life is good. And I am grateful. I am grateful. Let me feel it. Come on. I am grateful. Let me feel it. I am grateful. Come on. One more time. I am grateful. One more time. I am grateful. Breathe it in. is wide open. Take that in. That's that energy, that light that goes out into the world. It pulsates in as and through you. It circulates in this room. It circulates in the city. It circulates in this state. It circulates in this country, and it goes out. And it's like the moon looking down, and the moon's going, oh, look at the beauty. Have a seat. So gift plus attitude and practice is the gap that Deepak Chopra talks about, being purely present. So be present and find the good and give thanks. Have a gratitude journal. Share with your loved ones. Feel the health benefits. Practice wonderment. Go run in the fields and scream at the sunset. Go look in your beloved's eyes and say, thank you. Drink in the laughter of your children. Even when they're whining, take it in. Because you know what? They grow up so fast. Just be grateful. So Emerson says, write in your heart that every day is the best day ever. And our soul capacity deepens. Because not only do we find the contentment of life and the meaning of life, we then embrace the pure joy of life. So I invite you to go within, and just as we breathe in this full pulsation and vibration and expression of gratitude, I am grateful. The I am that I am, the power, the presence that is God, the oneness, the wholeness, the revelation of goodness, the truth of our beingness, that the light that is made manifest in, as, and through our body temple is the divine made manifest. Let us breathe in with a grateful heart, opening to all the good, the gifts of life. Let us move and groove and have our being with an attitude of gratitude, being that radiating happiness in the world, being the joy in the world, feeling, expressing, and sharing all the good that is God, absolutely being the beneficial presence for each person that we meet. And may we be in the practice of gratitude, the embodiment of the good, the love, the light, the joy, whether it's these gorgeous fuchsia, marmalade, pink sunrises and sunsets that remind us that God is present now. Let us drink it in. Let us savor the good, the smiles, the hugs, the hellos, the goodbyes, the pain, the joy. All of this is the way that God shows up in the brilliance and in the beauty and the beingness. Oh, as our dear friend Alice, look for the beauty. Look for the good. Take it in, embrace it, activate it through every ounce of your beingness, and stand here in this holy, sacred now. The gift of life, the gift of truth, the gift that you are. The one made manifest in such exquisite magnificence. Find the good. Praise it. It is your life. And so we breathe into this with the greatest gratitude, the absolute awareness of the indwelling presence that is God. And it's in this knowingness that I release it into the divine activity of the law, knowing the law does what it does so beautifully and perfectly. And so we absolutely stand here in the grace and the gratitude and the good that is God. And so I call it perfect. Knowing that each one of us goes out into this world in this day and this week and this month and this holiday season, embracing being the light and the gratitude that is God. And I call it so beautiful, just radiating in every single way like the rainbow. And I call it absolutely perfect. Breathe it in. And as we exhale, knowing that indeed it is done unto us as we believe it is good, it is God, we affirm it together and accept this good by saying, and so it is.
So it is.